trying to give you, I would say, some kind of look at what's happening or what happened in the last 2 years in Israel. And what happened in these last 2 years is very important for the future and for us understanding what we have to live with. At the beginning, this doesn't open. It does. At the beginning of this war, on the 7th of October, Israel suffered one of its greatest defeats. Not only did we not know, ואז יפקס אותך.
הנה, הטכנאי פה.
Turn it up.
It doesn't count that way. You could check on it.
Okay, now everyone can hear?
Usually.
Just the opposite.
It really doesn't work.
I just turned it on a minute ago.
Go ahead.
Hello?
רגע, תישאר, אל תלך.
אל תלך, זה מעניין לו.
You're going to be tested on that.
At the beginning of this war, Israel was caught with its pants down. First of all, we did not know and did not understand that the Hamas was planning to do what it was doing. And the reasons behind the lack of information, we can go into it later on. By the way, at the end of my talk, you can all ask questions, and there will probably be questions around the Mossad and information and intelligence, because people are mostly interested in these things at the end. Israel failed there for very simple reasons. The first reason is that our reliance on technology, and we are reliant on technology, has really blinded Israel, and it is blinding the world. The amount of information that is gathered today through all kinds of cyber, etc., cyber sigging, vizzing, all kinds of inting, which are really methods of collecting information through the web, through the sky, through wherever, anyone, through your phones. These methods of collecting information, in the end of the day, yield such amounts of information that no human being and no human system can really make the woods out of can understand beyond the wood that is collected. And Israel did not have enough living agents in the Gaza Strip to give us the interpretation of this information. At the end of the day, you have to recruit somebody that will give you an insight into the information that you have collected, so you can, at the end of the day, understand what the enemy is going to do. The main misunderstanding still is, and we will talk about it as I go along, that Hamas is not a political organization, and the war in the Gaza Strip is not a political war. It is a religious war. The Hamas is a religious organization determined on eradicating Israel in the long run and establishing in the land, in the Holy Land, a Muslim caliphate or a Muslim entity that would be run by a Muslim rule, like Afghanistan, like Iran, like many other places in the world. And Hamas is not looking at the situation on a day-to-day basis or on a year-to-year basis or in 10 years basis. Hamas is looking at the war with Israel long-term, 100 years from now. At the end of the day, they're saying to themselves, come what may, with our standing, which is called sumud in Arabic, and our patience, we will win this war. At the end of the day, our goal is going to be reached because we're going to be here and we are going to fight the whole thing. Now, this misunderstanding, including another Israeli trait, which is they will not dare. Israel was sure that the Arabs will not dare, just like 1973. They will not dare to attack us because they know how strong we are. These things combined brought upon us the 7th of October. 7th of October, not only the intelligence failed, also the army failed. The intelligence misunderstood, and the army was unable to confront the Arab, not so strong forces that came over the border in the Gaza Strip and created really the biggest massacre of Jewish people since the Holocaust. 1,200 people were killed, massacred in all sorts of ways, all horrendous. And 250 people were taken, 255 people were taken hostage to the Gaza Strip. The 250 hostages became the center point of this war. If you ask me, and anybody that I appear a lot on Israeli media, also on American media, and I've been saying all along that the focus on the hostages is the wrong focus. The focus should have been and is the state of Israel, the future of the 9-10 million people that live here, and not the future of the 250 hostages. But Israel being a Jewish heart, I mean, if you go out to the street, what you see is a big Jewish heart. Big Jewish heart does not think. What it does, it feels. And it felt that it was very important, much more important than anything else, to bring in the hostages at any price. I was against it. I'm still against it. I thought it was the wrong way to deal with it. But at the end of the day, it changed the situation, and the hostage problem was also adopted by the American administration, this administration, and the last administration. Everybody was focusing on bringing back these 250 hostages as we went along. And there were 2 or 3 deals, really 2 deals, 2 important deals, except this last one. In a minute we'll speak about this, so we'll speak about this last one. At the end of the day, there were 3 deals. The first deal was because the Hamas itself wanted to get rid of the old and the young. The second deal was the inauguration of the new American President Trump. And the third deal was done by Trump lately, and we will talk about this when we will talk about Gaza. The big question, by the way, I'm just saying this as a note, the hostage deal. The hostage deal, the paradigm for the hostage deal was the Gilad Shalit deal that was done by the Israeli government in 2011. See, I don't even remember the date. I was against that deal. I thought it was dumb. I thought that Israel should not release 1,070 murderers for Gilad Shalit, even though we all love Gilad Shalit, and he was our child in the streets of Israel. But this, our child, met this deal, and this deal, this paradigm, which is really a continuation of other examples in the past, made the Hamas, first of all, released into the Gaza Strip the Sinwar brothers, and made the Hamas understand that the way to deal with this very strong entity in the Middle East, Israel, is just kidnap their people. The minute you kidnap their people, their strategic ability becomes inapt. And we'll talk about this when we get into Gaza, and Gaza is the last thing that we will talk about. I will ask you tonight, the biggest question is, has Israel changed the Middle East like Netanyahu says? Have we, in the last 2 years of war, have we changed the Middle East? Or are we just looking at the same thing with a different face? Lebanon. The Lebanese, or I don't know if all of you are familiar with the differences between the Hezbollah and the Hamas, etc. You know the differences? Okay, there's 2 different religious organizations. Hamas being Sunnah and being Muslim Brothers. Muslim Brothers are the people that did the Twin Towers in New York. Muslim Brothers are the people that tried to take over Egypt. Muslim Brothers are the biggest enemy of the Egyptian government today. Muslim Brothers is an organization religious organization which, with the same ideology that Hamas has. Hamas is part of Muslim Brothers, and the Muslim Brothers are there in order to, at the end of the day, Islamify the world and Islamify the Middle East. The other, the Hezbollah, belongs to a completely different sect in the Islam, the Shia. The Shia rule Iran, and they too, the Shia, want to export the Muslim revolution to the world. They have tried to do it in the Balkan in the 1980s and 90s, and they have been doing it in the Middle East for the last 30 years. One of their establishments was the Hezbollah. Hezbollah, which means the Allah you all know, and Hizb means the organization of Allah. And Hezbollah is there in order to do two important things. First of all, take over Lebanon. And again, I don't know if you all know about what's happening in Lebanon, but Lebanon is built from many sects. There are Christians, there are Druze, there are Muslims, and there are Shiites. And all of them want to run the country, and at the end of the day, the strong one wins. And the Shia, the Hezbollah, built a force in the Lebanon in order to be the ruling class in the Lebanon, which they were, and in order to fight Israel as part of the Mukamma, which is the resistance. And the resistance is the resistance against the Jews in Israel. Now, the Hezbollah were not privy to the information of the 7th of October. They did not know that Sinwar was going to do what he did on the 7th of October. And at the end of the day, if they knew, they would probably have stopped him, because they would understand that the beginning of this war in the Gaza Strip is going to radiate on them, and it's going to cost them dearly as we go along. The Hezbollah did not know, and the Iranians did not know. The Iranians and the Hezbollah did support the Hamas, but their support was mostly financial and a little bit of consultation. They weren't really an important part of the Hamas because they belong to two different sects which hate each other anyhow. Like the Jews, by the way. The Arabs have the same thing that we have. We hate each other, they hate each other. Their hate is more militant. Hezbollah did not know about this, but Nasrallah, while alive, decided he was going to help his friend on the Hamas, and he was going to start a war with Israel, but it was a very moderate war. He was not using all his abilities. His abilities were formidable. We will ask, how come the Hezbollah and the Hamas came to a situation where their abilities were so formidable? And the answer is very simple. In the last 20 years, Israelis preferred going abroad in the summer than fighting the Arabs in the summer. Every summer we would go to wherever, and if anybody knows anything about Israel, everybody is on a plane. Okay, everybody goes somewhere. Few go to the States, but mostly go everywhere else. And every year they go to a different destination. And no one wanted to have a war in the Galilee when summertime came around. So 20 or 30 years, Israel, but how can you say, accepted the fact that the enemies on the other side were building forces, were getting stronger by the day. We did have a mini war against them, which is called in Hebrew, the Mabam, or in English, the war between the wars. And this war between the wars was attacks like today on Lebanon, on Syria, on several places in the Arab world in order to stop the ammunition, etc., that was on its way to the fighting forces of the Hezbollah, Hamas, etc. The Hamas we would hit in Sudan, and the Hezbollah we would hit in Syria. And this was a process that went along for many years. And we all thought that this would stop them. We found out in the war that it didn't do anything. At the end of the day, it didn't really change a thing, and they were armed to their eyebrows. So Hezbollah started a war with Israel. This war was not very successful, but it did do one thing. The Israeli government stupidly evacuated 60,000 people from the north. These 60,000 people were evacuated to the rest of Israel. The hotel business that was down because there were no tourists now had evacuees. And these evacuees kept the hotel business going, and evacuees lost their homes in the north. Because once the Hezbollah understood that no one lived in Metula, it started bombing Metula. And Metula, I don't know if you're going to places like Metula, but if you go to Metula, you will see something close to Gaza. Destroyed real estate. Okay? Not like Gaza. In Gaza we were much better. But destroyed real estate. These people have not returned to their lives yet. And some of the cities like Kiryat Shmona, people that have left Kiryat Shmona are not coming back to Kiryat Shmona. For all kinds of reasons. The children went to school somewhere else. They like the hotels better than their homes. And they love Tel Aviv. I mean, you can't compare Tel Aviv and Kiryat Shmona, so we moved to Tel Aviv. And this was a decision made by the Israeli government. It was, in retrospect, it was a very bad decision. And at the end of the day, the payment in the north in Israel, the payment was the evacuation of tens of thousands of people from their homes. And then we decided to, at the beginning, Israel decided not to fight the Hezbollah because we wanted to concentrate on the Gaza Strip. One day Israel decided that we're going to take the Hezbollah down. We did two things in order to do with Hezbollah. You all know the beeper, the beeper event. We'll all ask questions about it later on. I can tell you what I said the day that it happened on Israeli news. They asked me and I said, well, this teaches us a lesson. Never buy from anyone who is not the agent, the original agent. Only buy from original agents. By the way, this was used also as a commercial by other companies. Only buy from Rudy Sunglasses used this, and I approached them straight away and I said, I want my glass sunglasses. They didn't answer. So I never got it. Anyhow, the beeper event that you all know, also there was an event with the communication systems in the Hezbollah, and there was a decapitation of all Hezbollah leaders, Nasrallah downwards. At the end of the day, the Hezbollah the Hezbollah could not fight, and Hezbollah was militarily beaten. Has it changed the Hezbollah? Has the situation in the north changed? That's a question we'll ask later on. Even though we beat the shit out of them, at the end of the day, these people are still there, and just so you know, they still have 15,000 rockets and 30,000 fighters. But there was a deal. There was a deal struck by the Americans and Israel and the Lebanese government. And in Lebanon, we have a government that wants to beat the Hezbollah because they're Christian. They're not Muslim. These people made a deal with us, and the deal includes the demilitarization of Hezbollah, or really collecting their arms on the one hand, and changing the situation in Lebanon. The Lebanese army took this upon themselves. The Lebanese army can't do it. The Israelis, we do daily missions in Lebanon in order to hit any reorganization in the Hezbollah. Are we really successful? Question. Syria, we're really, Syria is, sometimes, you're buying Nvidia stock and you're making money, you don't know why. Same thing here. Syria, one day, I can tell you, I was in a meeting in Austria, the European journalist meeting. And as I was sitting, somebody came up and said, you know that Assad ran away. And we're all surprised, what happened? All of these people, they are all commentators and journalists on the Middle East, and nobody knew that this was going to happen. This is really a Turkish event with locals that wanted to take over the regime. The regime was a very bad regime for many years to the population. Millions of people have fled Syria. Syria is bakakt in Israel, in Hebrew, a very bad situation. And this is why the rebels took over. And lo and behold, today, the head of the rebels, Al Qaeda member, is being treated nicely in the White House. Today. I just saw the news that he came. So Syria, Syria is not really our doing, but if something good happens to us, we say it's us. Why not? Really, it is the fact that Hezbollah was not there, and Iran wasn't the same way there. Iran, who was very influential in Lebanon, lost a lot of its local power the minute the war with the Lebanese erupted full scale. And the minute that the Iranians lost most of their ability in Lebanon, the Hezbollah could not help Assad and his cronies keep or maintain the regime. And this is this situation connected to the situation that the Turkish helped the rebels, created whatever happened in Syria. Syria today, who knows what it is? There is a leader who is a very extreme Muslim, who is trying to play Donald Duck. I'm not, he's trying to say that I am not the same man I was a year ago. I say the same to my wife all the time. Doesn't work. With Giuliani, it works. It works. Fact. He's invited to the White House. Iran. Here, Iran is the most interesting thing. Is Iran the success we all think it was? Okay. What did Israel achieve together with the United States? More than very nice public statements. What did we really achieve in the Iranian attack, or what we Amkelavi, the operation in Iran? The operation in Iran was a 12-day operation of Israeli air might, and this I mean something at the range of, at any one time, 70 aeroplanes bombing in Iran. Now you all have to understand something that everybody forgets. Iran is the size of Europe. You think of Iran, Iran is the size of Europe. Now with 70 airplanes in Iran, you don't see them on the radar. Nonetheless, Israel, together with the United States, has managed to destroy, in many ways, the Iranian future capability of enriching uranium. I don't know if you all understand what enriching uranium is. Everybody's talking about enrichment of uranium. Nobody understands. Anybody understands? Anybody understands what it is? Okay, let me give you a simple lesson in physics, because this will show you also what was done. And will also teach you some of the statements that you've heard from people like the president. Uranium in nature, it comes in a form of U-238. To make it simple, it has 238 electrons around the center, around the core. Not electrons, but we'll call it electrons. Electrons, I like to call my mother-in-law electron because she's small and negative. All true. 238 little negative things running around the core. Now, this is a very stable element. 238 is a very stable element. It cannot become a bomb. We are looking in nature, things that are unstable have kinetic energy. It's true about human beings. People who are unstable have kinetic energy. Look at the president, okay? Unstable is kinetic energy. So we're looking for an element that has an uneven number of electrons, so it's not stable. And that is U-235. And what they do in order to enrich uranium, this is the process of enrichment, they take uranium they turn it into a gas. The gas is called uranium hexafluoride, fluoride, uranium hexafluoride. This UF6 is a very toxic element. You can't, if we, the very minute amount, microgram of this element would kill you straight away. It's toxic and it's corrosive. And the way to do it is you take this gas, you spin it around like you do in a mixer, and what happens when you spin around, the light people or the light elements come out to the side because they're thrown out, they have less energy. And the ones that are thrown to the side are collected, and they are enriched uranium. They are U-235. You take U-235, and from U-235 you can build a nuclear bomb. Building a nuclear bomb is a different process altogether. What you need to do now is have a weaponization weaponization office or system or whatever that will sit and will be able to take this element and explode it. And in order to explode it, you need to have experts in electronics and explosives. Now remember who we killed and look at the names. None of them were electronic, none of them were explosive. They were all chemists. And chemists are in the first stage of making a bomb. Any one of you, once I've already so Nitana, I said to Nitana this, that anybody wants to know about this, it's a great book, Brighter Than 1,000 Suns, explains the whole process of building the nuclear bomb in the Manhattan Project. Okay, this is just so you, for fun, it's a great book, by the way. Nothing to do with, it'll tell you the whole history of what happened there. So Israel, together with the United States, we were able, and we did, we were very successful in destroying most of the capability of future enrichment. Future, the word is future. They can't do it anymore because they don't have the system. What we bombed the centrifuge. These centrifuges, by the way, are very special centrifuges. They're built from special metal because of the corrosiveness and the toxicity of the element, of the UF6. We bombed this. We bombed the plants that changed uranium from solid to UF6, to gas, and change it back into solid. And all these elements are very important for enriching uranium in the future. What we didn't do, we did not destroy the 440 kilograms. Some people say 406, some say 440. 440 kilograms of already enriched uranium, which are in Iran. The Iranians are saying today, all of these, or this 440 kilograms, are buried underground under the rubble. We are saying you got it somewhere stashed away. These 440 kilograms are material for 10 nuclear bombs. And the Iranians, after this war, have the incentive to go back and create a bomb. Maybe they didn't have before. Now I can tell you that after this Iranian war finished, I had ABC, which is really BBC Australia. Who is here from Australia? Oh, see, these are good people. I lived in Australia, that's what I'm saying. I appear on many television in Australia. ABC, Channel 7, Cheryl. Yeah? What?
Sherry Moxon.
Yeah. Sherry appeared many times. We have a great relationship. I don't know why. Come on. Came these people from ABC Australia, told me we've come here to Israel straight from Tehran. And they asked me, first of all, they asked me, what did the Mossad do in Iran? This was and you probably will ask me in a minute about this as well. And the next question, and the next thing that they told me was that something that I've said on Israeli television before, that it's not understood how the Iranian people solidified around the regime they hate when Israel attacked Iran. I, on television, Israeli television, said that I know another country in the world where people don't like the regime, but they still would go with it. Okay, so what happened in Iran is, contrary to what we thought, or what was told on the media, the Iranian people supported the regime they hate. Because somebody else from outside attacked their country. And what we, at the end of the day, did in Iran is we ruined their future capabilities. It will take them time. And on the other hand, what we haven't done in Iran, we did not touch and we did not destroy the fissionous material that is there and is ready for creation of a bomb. Not only that, Iran today is a wounded animal. It's a wounded animal that has to prove to its people and to the rest of the Muslim world that they can do it. And if you ask me, they have a great incentive to create a bomb. If you ask the IEA, the International Atomic Energy Board that goes back and forth to Iran and see what they've done, they are saying that, first of all, the Iranians have excluded them from all their facilities, and not only that, the Iranians are working very hard in recreating their ability of enriching uranium. By the way, there's a better way to make a bomb than enriching uranium, and that is plutonium, which is a different material and a much easier bomb. This was, by the way, the bomb that they tried to create in Syria. About what the Mossad, everybody, when you are a Mossad mission, so say a word about this. People don't understand. Once upon a time, when the intelligence community worked at recruiting agents for information. When I was there, we worked 24/7 with all kinds of very creative methods to recruit enemy informants or enemy agents that will bring information to us. Since then, the world has evolved, and most of the information is there on the net. And if it's not in the net, it's in the sky. And if it's not in the sky, it's in your phone. And the information is readily available, except very, very small portion of the information. So the intelligence communities around the world, and Israel is the same, have put their efforts into recruiting operational agents. Agent is recruited in order to do harm, in order to put a bomb, in order to put a slogan, in order to fly a drone, in order, etc., etc. In a country like Iran, but not only in a country in Iran, also in Israel, where people need money, and somebody approaches you through the internet with a good story, and I can tell you that I've been approached several times and I have great stories about that. But when you're approached through the internet and you're offered money for a very simple job or a very simple thing, slowly but surely you can be made into an agent. And at the end of the day, in order to have, let's say, 100 drones in Iran, you have to recruit 50 people that will buy drones and don't know what you're going to do with a drone. You have to recruit one guy that will receive the bombs that you will send them from abroad, and you have to recruit one other guy that will put the electronics that will enable you to maneuver these drones from Tel Aviv. Okay, once you've done that, you have 100 bombs that fly wherever you want. And it can be done through people that have that do small parts of the job. I made it into 3 big parts. It can be many small parts. Small parts of the job. And at the end of the day, bring in a product. The product is important. It is, and it can do harm, damage during a war. Any other questions about this later, I'll explain. But it's all done through the internet. It's all done through somebody approaching you and offering you something completely different and slowly getting you into the right thing. Okay? Now let's go back to Gaza, because Gaza is a real story here. As I said, Hamas is a religious militant organization, and I explained to you how they think and what they think, and at the end of the day, Hamas is here determined to destroy as much as they can this country. We fought in the Gaza Strip for 2 years, and we should look at the results of these 2 years. First of all, we demolished the real estate. Anybody here in real estate? There is a future in Gaza. Everything there is destroyed. It looks like the moon. If you go to Gaza and you ever see pictures of Hiroshima, not far away. Okay? Gaza has been, the real estate has been destroyed. We had the hostages, and they played with us on the hostages, and I explained to you there were 3 stages of hostage release. Israelis, stupidly, some of Israeli leaders, and also some of the, not only, also military leaders, thought that the way to deal with the Gazans is to see all of them as one, and starve them, or try to starve them, and relate to them as they were all the enemy. What happened because of that, first of all, they were all right. If you ask me, I was thrown off CNN, and I was there for a very long time, because I said, when they asked me about the Gazans, I said, there is no one in the Gaza Strip over the age of 4 who is not Hamas. And because I said this, the next day, I was off the air, okay? My wife said you were axed, thrown away. She was very happy about that. Because it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and Anderson Cooper. Anderson Cooper, who loved me for a very short period, decided that because I was telling the truth about the Gazans, that I wasn't so nice, and off I went. It doesn't matter if I was right. At the end of the day, the pictures that came out of the Gaza Strip and the declaration of starvation has created a situation in the world where Israel was all of a sudden the pariah of this world. And being the pariah is not only these hundreds of thousands who run around the street shouting free Palestine, or from the river to the sea. They don't know which river and which sea. And a lot of them are gay, and they think that they can live as gay people in Palestine. They don't understand what they're talking about. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, whether we're right or not right, righteous or not, at the end of the day, this has created a situation for Israel around the world where the price that this country is paying and is paying, and you as Jews will be paying, is here for decades. You all know that this has created a lot of anti-Semitism, and at the end of the day, it does not matter if we were righteous. It doesn't matter if we're on the right side. It matters that the result was terrible. The result became much worse on starting January 25 with the Kavod Gidon, the last operation in the Gaza Strip. There were people in Israel that, if you ask me, and this is okay, many opinions on this, if you ask me, did not understand Hamas. They thought that more military pressure would change Hamas. More military pressure did not change Hamas. Little American pressure changed Netanyahu. At the end of the day, this deal, and we'll talk about the deal that is now struck and we are living with, this deal is the worst deal that was ever done by Israel with anyone. And at the end of the day, we killed tens of thousands of Gazans, among them many, many Hamas members. But you have to remember that in the Gaza Strip, the median age is 17 and a half, and for $20 you get a new soldier. By the way, it's the same in Lebanon. In Lebanon, a soldier for the Lebanese army makes $225 a month. Soldier for the Hezbollah makes $2.25 grand. So who's got a better army? Same in the Gaza Strip. They have recruited everyone, and our military pressure didn't change anything. You can see it today. If you go into the municipality of Gaza, it's on your internet, and see what's happening, you'll see a city that is working, and it's run by Hamas. It's run by Hamas. Hamas is armed, and Hamas is there. The deal that was struck by the Americans, that was really, if you ask me, created by the Qatari. The Qatari, after the failed assassination in Doha, came back to the Americans, and let's look about the interests of the different people here. Donald Trump and his son have $2.5 billion running on Qatar. Witkoff has $1 billion running on Qatar, and Jared has $2.5 billion running on Qatar. Now, money talks at the end of the day, and if you saw the interview that Witkoff gave to Tucker, yeah, you'll hear all the good words about Qatar. Qatari are nice people, we love them, etc., etc. Why? They saved them on a real estate deal. So at the end of the day, the Qatari went to the Americans came to us, and this is the deal that was struck in the White House. First time in generations, people are speaking about a Palestinian state, something that was never on the table. And Sanwar, the son of a bitch, underground today, is turning around and laughing. I, Sanwar, have brought the Palestinian problem to the table. Okay? Second thing that has happened here is the creation of an international protectorate in the Gaza Strip. This protectorate is going to be there with, we don't know whom, but at the end of the day, the people who are going to run them are the Palestinian Authority with Palestinian policemen who are already being trained by the Americans and by the Egyptians in Egypt. And here they say that we are going to disarm the Hamas. Let me tell you a secret. 60% of the people of the Arabs that live in the West Bank are pro-Hamas. And we've been there for many years, and they're still not disarmed. Okay, we fight them every day. And the third thing that was here was a release of 250 bloody killers that we would not have ever released in another deal. So this deal, as it was made, is what we've got right now, and it's not a good deal. Now, government is trying to make it nicer, saying to us two things which are untrue. First of all, they're saying that we're going to be 50%, we're going to be in 50% of the Gaza Strip. That is true for the first stage, not in the second stage. The deal includes retreat to almost the old Israeli border. Second thing they're saying, that we're going to disarm the Hamas. I don't see anyone disarming these people unless we go into a bloody war, which will I don't know, will be 1 million people dead in the Gaza Strip. And it's not as simple. And no one in this international protectorate is going to go and fight there. They're all going to say, yes, we're going to do our best. The Hamas is going to give their long-range equipment, meaning missiles and guns and mortars, etc., but are not going to do anything with their personal weapons. Their personal weapons and bombs, etc., are still going to be there. And what is Israel going to do there in the future? I don't know. And now, go back to the first question I asked you. So did we change the Middle East? Has the Middle East really changed? At the end of the day, the Middle East, unfortunately, is going to be the Middle East. And the Middle East has, there's a religious war in the Middle East, and we are dealing with the symptoms and not the cause. Over the years, we are all, both sides, all politics are all dealing with the symptoms. None of us are dealing with the cause, and we don't know if we can ever deal with the cause. And the cause is not only a Palestinian state. The cause is also a religious cause. So at the end of the day, if you look from afar at what has happened and what's going to happen, well, ladies and gentlemen, you are here for the continuation of this. We're going to have many ultimates, and we're going to see many wars as we go forward. We have, as Dayan said in 1956, before 6, I think. Okay, 6? Okay, 6. I was too small. He was the age. 1956, what he said, we're here to fight. And we're here to fight for the long term. What we should do is, we should see to it that our war is going to be successful. And in order for it to be successful, we have to understand the enemy. And I can tell you from my side, from what I see, and I've seen through all this war, we don't understand the enemy. Now, what is the difference between me and some of these commentators who talk about the enemy? I have been, because of my jobs in the past, I have spoken and lived and talked and ate everything with the enemy without the enemy knowing that I'm Israeli. Okay? Without the enemy ever knowing, I'll tell you a story about this in a minute, which will be very funny. The enemy did not know that I was Israeli, and therefore the enemy spoke the truth. And speaking the truth is different. I'll tell you a story. One day I was in Holland, in Amsterdam, with an agent that works for me, Syrian agent. And the agent wanted to go and see a porn show. I was against. He was, let's go see a porn show. I said, no, come on, not good, etc. He convinced me. You believe that? I believe that. He convinced me, and we went to see the show. We're sitting there seeing the show, and all of a sudden, because I know none of you have ever been to these shows, I know. In the show, so all of a sudden, these women were doing all sorts of things with the crowd. And in a minute, all of a sudden, we understood that I understood, and that everybody in the crowd was Israeli, except us. So the Arab looks at me and he says, you know, we're the only ones who are not Israelis here. And this is the difference between speaking to him this way or that way. And when you understand the enemy, you understand that this enemy is a clever enemy. It has a long-term objective. This long-term objective cannot be dealt with only with force. Force is one way, but not only force. You have to look at solutions that will somehow satisfy the other side. And Israeli understanding that force will bring the solution has been proven wrong in this war. Now, any questions? Yes, I knew there would be some.
Had the Israeli government done at the beginning what you had suggested, Israel instead of the 250 hostages, how do you think